So, this took almost 2 years to make. Being able to convert only 3,000 characters every 24 hours doesn't help with that. This video exists because I merged 2 video ideas into one. I originally had a shit ton of opinions in one document, but then I realized this is actually just me responding to everyone else's bad takes. So, I rebranded it as Responding to Dumb LOONA Opinions. But then I didn't really have enough material to fill a video with it. So, I put them back into the original document, and it worked better that time, because months and months had passed and I'd had time to form even more opinions to subject you to. So this video is going to be a mix of my own takes and my responses to other people's takes. Oh, and at the end there will be a commentary on OnlyOne of and Jaden Jung, so, stick around for that. Alright, let's dive in. A while back, around the time that LOONA did their full moon cover, there was some uproar about Mnet not nominating them for Best Choreography. And people aren't going to like hearing this, but honestly, I wouldn't have nominated LOONA for Best Choreo either. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure that Butterfly was better choreographed than a lot of the nominated dances, but it also wasn't up to scruff. The fancams that Mnet released really exemplify why. On a majority of them, there's entirely too much time where the idol is just standing off to the side, neither singing nor dancing. That does not make a good choreo, it just says that BBC aren't fully sure how to utilize 12 dancers in a single song or aren't confident doing so. That's a step down from the plus era. Yeah, I didn't think the choreos during that era were flawless, but at least if you watched a fancam from that era, you saw the idol on the stage at all times and always dancing instead of swapping out with other members. Sometimes this even goes to really weird lengths, like the first chorus of Butterfly. Why are these 4 down on the ground doing nothing? They participate in the second chorus, so it couldn't be because this wasn't a safe dance move to do with 12 members. What's going on? The dance break in colors sucks. There, I said it. It does. I can't even be gentle about it, it just genuinely sucks. It doesn't flow, and it can't match the beat like it's trying to do because the movements are too complex. I could think of better ways this dance break could be performed. It took me a while to fully realize this salt, as I think it was missed in all the Butterfly salt from before. But remember how I was upset that the shit we were promised in the music video via the teasers never actually appeared? Well, as it happens, that applies to Go Won, too. Yeah, I guess I'm actually mad about this. She's still filling her typical role here, just singing bit lines every so often so that you don't forget she's involved. You named the damn song Butterfly. That's like naming a title track Blue Betta, and then Jin Sol is just kind of off to the side occasionally making an appearance. As far as dance goes, she should have had those center parts. This should have been Go Won. This could have been Go Won. This definitely should have been Go Won. This applies to vocals, too. Go Won could have at least sang the damn title line. And what sucks about Butterfly and Go Won in particular is, it's a Go Won song. What I mean is this is a song perfectly tailored to her. The song's whole construction is about falsettos and hitting those high notes, and Go Won's natural voice is already very high and light. The song itself even sounds like One and Only. Listen. Aside from both sounding very ethereal and fantastical, their compositions are like twins. Go Won, as I said before, fit this song like a glove and she got shafted. I should reveal now that the person who actually recorded the falsetto for Fly Like a Butterfly, that plays during the chorus, and had to be edited to achieve that falsetto, mind you, is Chu. Because of course it's Chu. Chu stands, please shut the fuck up and go watch the other members' solos. It is very clear that a vast majority of Chu stands don't know what LOONA is beyond Kim Ji-woo and don't care. It's okay to have a bias in a group, it's less okay to only care about that bias to the point you bash the other girls. I will refer specifically to this comment right here, with the names blurred out of course, where somebody had the audacity to say that Ha Sul, a trained operatic, didn't have good technique and had an airy voice. I will admit that pissed me off a little, and I called a spade a spade. Somehow, I got called out for not standing the whole group on this matter. But they do this a lot, and for some reason I'm sure nobody can divine. Ha Sul and Jin Sol seem to get it more than anyone else, though don't get me wrong, people still come for Go Won's vocals to this very day. I think I permanently lost patience with Chu stans when Heart Attack's views finally overtook Favorites views, you know, the full group's very first work released. I think that really solidified to me that people care more about the one idol than the whole, hard-working group. LOONA's gay anthem isn't all it's got, you know. They have women's anthems, trans anthems, and self-love anthems too. There are other LOONA videos right there on the sidebar. Go watch them. I think we've all echoed this opinion at some point in our LOONA stan career, but now more than ever, I really want Heejun to shut up. That might sound mean, but she's so consistently overexposed that I'm getting sick of it. There has never been a LOONA era without any Heejun in it. She sang on her own single, sang on Hyunjin's single, sang on Hassel's single, sang for Yeojin's single, sang the majority of the lines for all of her subunit songs, had a rap feature on Jinsol's single, had a rap feature on Olivia's single, sang 90% of the lines in the Plus Plus album, sang consistently on the XX album, and has had a majority of the spotlight in all of the idol work outside LOONA's own scope, and has sucked up yet more line time in the Sharp album, including half of the title track's rap that she really didn't deserve or have the skill for. At this point, I am genuinely sick of hearing her. In the Plus Plus era, this was excusable. Annoying, but excusable. Most of the Korean fans who had dismissed LOONA as pre-debut after only one glance and were now taking a chance on them would have only really been familiar with Heejun. Well, we all know what Heejun's voice sounds like by now. I've had enough. Enough. Recede, withdraw, go into the background for a little while, I'm begging you. And yes, I know this isn't Heejun's fault, but for the love of God, it's making me start to really resent BBC. All the more so now that she's going on shows saying things like, I've never done Girl Crush before, and I've never rapped before, when we all know both those things are patently untrue. Now she's starring in a video for Ben's mini album, right on time to take attention away from Jin Sol singing a K-drama ballad. It's like BBC realized someone other than Heejun was getting attention and swiftly sought to correct that. And you know, I was going to leave it at that. But remember my bitching about Chu stans? Yeah, Heejun stans, I'm not letting y'all off the hook. These were some of the most popular comments on the Mnet performance where LOONA got their first win, and I would like to ask y'all to shut the fuck up. Heejun didn't start LOONA, she didn't create it, she may not have even been the first person to sign on for the project. She took no risks that weren't taken by every other member of LOONA as well. She was the first girl rolled out in the debut process. And, that's all. Stop making the whole group's win into a reason to applaud her specifically. God, you're so annoying. This one is kind of dated now that So What is out and Hyunjin is dominating, but it still stands. This is just one little nitpick about people being so sure they know what Koreans like, but please stop calling Hyunjin LOONA's visual. Here's my question for you, yeah? This is all based on Korean beauty standards, or whatever, right? But beauty standards don't change someone's entire face. And Hyunjin is part of a triplet line, so called because she looks extraordinarily like Yerim and Heejun. And if they look so much like her, shouldn't they also be the visuals of LOONA? But nobody calls them that because no one is trying to prop up a less popular member. Yeah, I know what's up and I calls them as I sees them. Look, it's true Hyunjin has the least viewed MV, but that's not reflective of her talent or skill. It's just a matter of what I've started to term Hyunjin-itis in LOONA viewers. Newcomers see a high energy, very powerful girl, they move on to the next one and find something slower or more cutesy and chill, and they sigh and click away. It's why Cherry and Go1 have the least views of their subunits as well. I guarantee you if Cherry had done something as intense as Eclipse or Singing in the Rain, she'd be the most popular member of her unit, and the same with Go1 doing something similar to Chu. Relax. Your bias isn't lesser because she doesn't get the attention she deserves. But for the love of all that is holy, please quit banging the Hyunjin visual symbols. Remember how I said Heejun needs to recede into the background? Along with possibly Eve, Kim Lip, Chu, and maybe Olivia. Well, the inverse also needs to happen. It's not enough anymore for Heejun to simply be there and not overpower everyone else. Her consistent overexposure means that her prominence will continually outshine everyone else's. She is going to have some eras where she's kind of in the background, or I will not trust that anything has changed. I refuse to accept a LOONA where we just bounce back and forth between equal and Heejun time. If it's going to be truly equal, they need to pull back sharply on her exposure. The same holds true in reverse for the underexposed ones. VV, Go1, Ha Seul, and to a lesser extent Yeojin cannot simply bounce back and forth between actually being there and invisible. They need to be pushed to the front and receive more prominence and more challenging vocal and dance roles. Truly fair treatment doesn't mean they get to sing almost as often as the others, it means they get a similar shot at the killing parts and have as much chance to become the latest obsession as the others do. You know how everyone went wild over Olivia Hay after the Cherry Bomb cover and went even further after the Full Moon cover? That could be Go1. That could be VV. All you have to do is give them the chance. People that assume that they have less vocal skill or dancing ability will eventually be right due to this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. Their talents will suffer as their opportunities are passed over. You don't think VV is as good a vocal as Ha Seul or as good a dancer as Kim Lip? Of course she isn't, because she's never allowed to sing and dance. All of these covers, commercials, and guest roles that LOONA get are going to keep passing over these underexposed members as long as they aren't given the option to be the leading members within LOONA's musical career. So what I'm saying is even if BBC don't think BB and OnlyOne are the most talented members, they need to start treating them the way they treat Heejun and Eve now. That's what's fair.
Hey boy.
She's improved so much, her technique needs work. She just needs more confidence. So what am I going on about now? I'm specifically seeing people talking down an idol's talents. In the LOONA fandom's case, it's almost always from Chu stans, absolute shocker, I know, but I also see it in regard to Kim Sol stans doing it to Cherry even to this day, etc. etc. The problem here is that people's attempts at positivity are really just unmasking their low opinion of someone who isn't their bias. That she's improved so much variation is particularly infuriating, because even if, say, Cherry actually has improved phenomenally at the occasion this comment is made, it's usually just a disguised way of saying that she wasn't up to snuff when she debuted, which is fucking bullshit. It's not just enraging, it's also usually a complete non-statement because the performance will be almost exactly the same as it was when it was first showcased. Because, you know, that's how it's supposed to be performed. The other two are baffling not just because they're basically an even more degrading version of the same comment, but they're often applied to not just idols who aren't God's gift to song and dance, but idols who actually are. She doesn't have good technique? Saw that one applied to goddamn Ha Seul. Ha Seul, a trained operatic. 3 guesses why this was said and the first 2 don't count. She just needs more confidence? Saw that one applied to Jin Sol belting it out. Walk right out the door with that nonsense. Let's face facts here. People that aren't outright bashing another idol's talents are often downplaying them in some way or another, and it's usually, again, because they prefer someone else. Grow up. I am not really worried about people stealing LOONA's concepts, and in fact, I kind of think that this should be encouraged. Let me explain. What are the things that make LOONA unique? They reverse the typical progression from idols. While most groups promote as a group first, then form subunits, and then allow the members who get popular enough to create a solo debut, LOONA did the opposite, promoting their idols as individuals first, then bringing them together as subunits, and finally into a full group. They debuted these artists solos and subunits on a monthly basis. They provided each artist a specific image color and associated animal, as well as providing each subunit their own uniform. They have a universe of their own in which they play fictional personas and play out a complex story. All of these things may be groundbreaking, but in reality, they seem like obvious decisions. Groups with huge numbers of idols are only going to overwhelm anyone that doesn't judge an idol group purely on what company they come from, and it's a chore just to learn everyone's names and faces. It only makes sense to debut them one at a time with their own activities so fans learn them first as individuals before they know them as a group. Image colors and associated animals help with that even more. It allows people to compartmentalize, so many people were able to remember the LOONA girls faster than other groups' members because LOONA put such a heavy emphasis on the colors. Even if you didn't know the name Kim Lip on your LOONA journey, you knew who the red girl was. Monthly solos and subunits meant monthly content. The LOONA fandom was one of the most spoiled rotten fandoms for a long time because for 2 straight years, they always had something to look forward to, always knew when it was coming, and yes, always had something to spend their money on. People tuned into LOONA like they would a regularly scheduled podcast, only this podcast can be sold as albums for big cash. The fictional universe is just the cherry on top. Music may seem separate from continuity, but it doesn't have to be. Armed with both song and videography, you can make K-pop into a full universe with characters and everything, and LOONA did that. These are, in any sensible world, the things that every K-pop group should be doing. All of these things only make sense, and in fact with this formula in play it would guarantee a group's eventual success the same way it guaranteed LOONA's, at least until all those lawsuits. Let's face it, the way LOONA does things is fucking interesting. Every other group that can jump on this bandwagon should. You know, a year or 2 back, I ran across another unpopular opinions video, I don't remember whose. But there was one of them that said, stop overrating Jin Sol's dance. And I had to reluctantly admit, that one was probably on the money. As much as Jin Sol is ace material and an excellent dancer, it's kind of erroneous to suggest she's a better dancer than Kim Lip or Eve. This, mind you, was back when YYXY hadn't really taken off and Kim Lip and Jin Sol were still both being considered main vocals and main dancers. That said, the opinion I'm attacking here is that Eve is a main vocal. While she has an excellent singing voice, Eve is main vocal material about as much as Heejun is. That is to say, not at all. BBC may treat her as one, but BBC also treats BB as a backup dancer. Could Jin Sol be as good a dancer as Kim Lip or Eve if she really wanted to? Could Eve be as good a vocal as Jin Sol if she tried? Maybe, maybe not. What I will say though, is that the common excuse used on behalf of Jin Sol the ace stance, that she generally focuses more on singing, is truer than most people understand. Let me drive something home to you guys, singing is hard. Dancing is hard. Singing and dancing at the same time? A fucking nightmare. And I'm going to use the quintessential Eve clip to demonstrate that to you. Yeah, Eve is singing live here, but check out what she does when it's time for her to do the belt. Always on my... She stops dancing. She stops dancing entirely, just holding still and putting all she can behind that note. Vocal that she is. Even Eve can't sing to her greatest while dancing her ass off. Unfortunately, Eve doesn't get that luxury nowadays. She does, as I said earlier, get treated as a main vocal and a main dancer by BBC, and the results tell me it's pretty clear she isn't cut out for both roles. BBC messed up not giving YYXY the repackage. We had, by then, been establishing a formula and I was into it. It was super weird to just go and jump ahead to the full group debut without finishing things up. 2 subunits having repackages and 1 subunit not having one doesn't feel right. Not to mention, it's less content and that's never good. They still could have had the repackage after plus plus, or even after XX, but by now, there isn't any hype left for it. By just skipping over it and never acknowledging it, they've let all that hype drain away. I still want it to happen, and I'm sure some others do, but by now it's not out of excitement for more of YYXY, it's just a desire to fill empty space and fix something lopsided. If they did put it out, it almost definitely wouldn't sell very well for what they'd expect. And the sad thing is, a lot of people thought XX was going to be the YYXY repackage. And then it came along, and it was great, but we got no real follow-up for the subunit itself. This doesn't really belong on a LOONA video, but as I'm unlikely to ever really branch out into full standing of other K-pop groups to the point of making videos on them, this is where it'll go, because I guess you could call it LOONA adjacent. I think that OnlyOne is going to fail. Or at least have a terrible time going forward. If you don't know what OnlyOne is, it's a boy group that is often considered LOONA's brother group. It consists of former Blockberry creative trainees that were intended to be the group 8x8x8, hinted at all the way back in the Odd Eye Circle era. Their creative producer is Jaden Jung, who was the same creative producer LOONA had. Key word was. Mind you, this is not an attack on the very talented guys that form OnlyOne, nor a definitive commentary on the Jaden Jung issue. Since we're almost certainly never going to hear the full story behind Jaden, there's no use branding him a criminal. However, I'm not gonna deny that the hot water he's landed himself in with Orbits is worth some notice. The thing about Jaden is, he's got a very distinct fingerprint. All of the things that make the LOONAverse what it is, well, he came up with them. LOONA was his passion project. As such, he was beloved as a creative mind by a lot of Orbits, because LOONA wouldn't really be half its uniqueness without his creative direction. When OnlyOne debuted, they were highly successful for previously unknown entities, and a large chunk of that can be attributed to Jaden. His fingerprint was very visible, it was known that he was on board for the group, and between that and the trainee history, OnlyOne got an early head start by having a lot of Orbits support them because they associated them with LOONA and knew Jaden's style, and trusted it. But this was before it was known that he had actually left LOONA to do this. When you leave your alleged passion project of 2 years less than 6 months after they debut and immediately move all attention onto your new project, it doesn't leave a good taste in the mouth. And when it was realized that that's what Jaden had done, it undoubtedly made a lot of LOONA fans feel very betrayed. A lot of the love that was used to jumpstart OnlyOne was then soured. And I can't imagine that OnlyOne is going to have an easy time of building up their own cult standom the way LOONA has, again because of Jaden and how he's handling things. Let me show you the descriptions of the first 2 music videos for OnlyOne that Jaden was involved in. You can see from these inflated descriptions alone that Jaden is trying to use a lot of the same symbolism, world building, and story direction as he did for LOONA. He's even styling the song titles and the albums the same way, with the first one being an ellipsis, or dot point jump, and the second one being a mathematical configuration you can't actually type with a keyboard. The thing is, LOONA was an 18-month pre-debut project. There was a lot more time and a lot more money to create this story for LOONA than there is for OnlyOne, for whom he's trying to utilize this storytelling style right out of the gate. But the fans who would have been used to it and appreciated it no longer want to hear it, and the fans that aren't familiar with it aren't sure what's going on and will be turned off. I can't help but think that Jaden is essentially treating OnlyOne like his new flagship that he can instantly expect success of the same caliber of LOONA from, and that it's going to be this particular attitude that causes them trouble down the line. To be honest, I just want Jaden to come back. I'd much rather he work on both groups and have the freedom to create the whole, complete universe that he wants to, but I can't see that happening. I've been listening to some of the dirt on Jaden, with a grain of salt of course, but it doesn't look good. He almost looks like a cursed name at this point, like some kind of demon that promises wealth and success only to split when his patrons need him most. So beyond hating Jaden, I just worry about what's going to happen to the latest people to put their careers into his hands. If you liked this video, leave a comment, it helps circulate my work to your subscribers. If you didn't like it, have a nice day anyway, and stay healthy.